Okay, we are live. Amazing, amazing. Hello, everyone. A massive, massive welcome to the Freedom Formula, our two-day masterclass that's going to go through how to create a leveraged income online. My name is Christy, and I'm joined for this welcome video with our other presenters. So we've got Saber, we've got Tariq, so Saber's in California, Tariq is in France, and Amberly is also in Australia, and I'm also in Australia, so a little bit of a global presentation happening here. So I just really want to welcome you and celebrate you for saying yes to being a part of this two-day experience. This is going to potentially change the trajectory of your life. And I really don't say that lightly, because what is going to be shared over day one and day two changed the trajectory of my life and thousands of people across the world. So my invitation to you is to treat this like you have invested $10,000 to be here. You have received a free ticket to be here, which is amazing. But treat it as though you've actually invested 10,000. And when you treat it like that, you're going to take this seriously, and you're here for a reason, whether it is to create an income online, or potentially you've already created an income online and you're looking for other methods and ways to do that, whether you're just starting out in the business space or you're already a seasoned entrepreneur. There's a reason why you are here. And obviously it's been a massive 2 years for everybody. You know, since 2020, everything's been shaken up in the world a little bit, and more people have been looking to how to create their own financial security, how to learn the skill sets, and how to actually apply methods that actually work and are proven to work and convert. And this is what this is going to be all about. So I want to share, most of you might not know who I am, so I really just want to take a moment to share a little bit about who I am so that you can understand why I'm here teaching this stuff. So as I mentioned, my name's Christy. I'm a mum of 3, and you know, my journey's been a very big journey over the last 10 years, but to kind of keep it really short, 10 years ago, I was working in a corporate job. I thought that was the pathway to success. I thought you go to school, go to university, get good grades, get a job, and you work there till you're 65, and then you retire. And, you know, I was asking to have time off for 4 weeks holiday a year. And, you know, you have 2 days off a week. And I was like, feels so restrictive. Like this was not me living my dream life. And I would go to work. I was really depressed. I was like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? What's my purpose? What do I actually want to create for myself? And I saw that there was like all these people on Facebook making, you know, 30,000 plus on the internet per month selling products and services. And the thing that they had was their time. They had money to do what they wanted to do, which was travel, and they had time to actually go and enjoy those experiences. And I was like, they are living my dream life. So I quit my job with no savings, no backup plan, no idea how to become an entrepreneur. I hadn't read any books. I hadn't done any of that. And the first book I read was The Fat 4-Hour Workweek from Tim Ferriss. And I was like, oh my God, it was like, once you see something, you can't unsee it. And that was what happened for me. So I went on this huge quest to figure out, what was my dream life? What were my values? Like, what do I actually want to create for myself? And the first 5 years of that was a very turbulent 5 years, lots of ups and lots of downs. And this is what the entrepreneurial journey is about, right? It's not all just like a smooth sailing. But for me, I had lots of amazing experiences and lots of learning lessons. You know, I had a traditional business and I was working 18 hours a day. My staff were getting paid more than I was. And I ended up moving out of my apartment and living in my car or on the couch of my cafe. I tried network marketing. I was selling supplements to friends and family. I'd host launch parties. No one would show up. I did that whole gig. I was cold DMing people on Facebook and spamming people and all these kind of strategies. And then I also had an eBay store, and I got scammed over $10,000 from the manufacturer, along with many other learning lessons of that 5 years. But really 5 years ago from now, so if we go back 5 years, I had my first baby on the way in 4 months, and I was still in the same position, going around and around in circles on this entrepreneurial hamster wheel, trying to figure out how I was going to pay my rent, how I was going to buy my food, how I was going to put more than $5 of fuel in my car. And that was my reality. And yet my husband and we'd read all the books by then, you know, all the personal development books. We'd gone to all the seminars, we'd done all of the courses, and we were still in the exact same position. But we had massive dreams. We had massive visions within inside of us. We could see them. We could see the life that we wanted to live. Our highest value was freedom. And yet we were not living a life that was aligned to freedom. We were making choices that were getting us in that direction, but we didn't have all of the time to enjoy what we wanted to be doing. And we didn't have the money to do any of that. I desired a life where I could have it all: limitless abundance, limitless freedom. A mentor of mine talks about not even the sky is the limit. That is the life that I desired. I wanted to be able to go to a supermarket, an organic health food supermarket, and put whatever I wanted into the trolley and not even think about what it was going to cost. I wanted to be able to book business class flights overseas at the drop of a hat if I wanted to go on a spontaneous holiday. I wanted to be able to wake up and go, what do I want to do today? Because I've got the time and I've got the money to be able to do it. I wanted to be able to give back. It was only last week, and I don't share these stories very much, but it was last week I saw a single mum struggling. We've got a lot of floods happening where we are at the moment. She was struggling. She's living in a camper van, and she was putting kind of like her life online, just sharing what she's going through. And I was able to pay for a week for her to go to an Airbnb, and she was like so transformed by that. And for me, it was like, I could do that like that. I didn't even have to worry about the money or whatever to do that. So I wanted to be able to give back generously. I wanted to be able to take my family on amazing trips. And yet 5 years ago, I wasn't able to do that. And I put this call out to the universe. I was like, just show me something. Show me something. I don't have time and I don't have a lot of capital to figure this shit out. I needed to actually just like have something that was going to be proven to work and convert. And that's when I literally had a method come to me. And I've been teaching this method and this formula to thousands of people across the world who have been so inspired to create their freedom lifestyle and are on that pathway to actually creating that. And we have seen so many people being able to transform their life. Women in New Zealand, Maori women in New Zealand, going from $45,000 in debt to having, now enough money to pay for a mortgage. People that, like Amberly, who had all these big visions to, retire her hubby and travel around Australia, now be able to do that. These are stories that I'm hearing every single day, over and over and over. I'm going to pass over to Tariq. We've been doing business together for many years. He's one of my most favorite people in the world and such an inspirational guy. So he's going to share a little bit about day one and about himself with you.
Thank you so much, Christy. Hey, everyone. It's such a pleasure and an honor to have you here. And I just want to start with this. I know you're probably invited to different events and different seminars and things online. And right now, a lot of people are tuning into things remotely. But what if? Let's play what if for a second. What if this actually has the potential to shift the trajectory of your life, like Christy was saying? The thing is, it doesn't even have to shift your life that much to create a real shift. Even though I know the stuff that we're going to be sharing can create huge shifts, which then create huge ripples. But even if it's just a small shift, right? Let me tell you how powerful this is. Imagine that you're in a plane and the nose of the plane shifts just a few degrees, You won't just miss the airport that you're aiming for. You'll probably not even just miss the city, you'll probably end up in a different part of the country, if not a different continent. That's how powerful a little shift today can be tomorrow. So what if, through people who are already living and doing and breathing and putting into practice everything that we're talking about, you actually end up shifting more than you thought you could? What would that mean for your future? Would it mean a different you? Would it mean a different life? And that's the invitation that's here for you. And, it's one thing to just talk about having positive thoughts and a good mindset. But when you combine that with a powerful method, then you're really approaching things holistically. And that's when big shifts can happen. So I've been described as a paradigm shifting storyteller. And on day one, I'm going to be shifting your paradigm around money, the concepts that we grew up with, how we have been groomed into poverty, many of us, how we've been conditioned into scarcity, and also start to really rewire all of this within you in one session. I promise you, you will come out of this looking at things, yourself and life differently. And that's that shift that we're talking about, right? That's that different bearing that starts to chart a different course into the future. So my background is I was always a super creative kid. I was one of those kids that was always drawing, always painting. The thing about your passions, though, is once you get into the school system and then you go to college and then university, it kind of falls by the wayside. And I was told to get serious and be realistic by grown-ups who knew better, right? And now that I think about it, they weren't really happy, but I listened to them because they were older than me and more experienced. And I ended up going down the same road that many do. I got a degree, I got a master's, I got in a great job. I was head of a department doing creative, which I loved. But then there was a downturn in the economy and I got made redundant like that. The thing though, was the night before I had moved out of my then kind of like student accommodation and I was about to sign a deal for a new flat that same morning. And that morning was the morning that I got made redundant. So no job, but also no house. And then I was still in my probation, so no money, no car, no driving license. I felt like my whole life was falling apart. And that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to start making this entrepreneurship work. But like Christy also said, it's a rocky road. There's a lot of peaks, there's a lot of valleys, there's some good days, there's a lot of bad days, and I couldn't find consistency. I was always one gig to another job, to one logo design here, to something there, and I was constantly just trying to make it work. And it wasn't until I discovered this particular community that you are tuning into now, and the methods that are described here, that things really started to shift. Because from there, I started to build a rock solid foundation. I started to be empowered by people who already had the results, people who are already living the truth that you can be yourself, you can champion your passions, and you can become so good at what you do and sharing your authentic voice that people will pay you to keep on doing it. And you're going to learn about all of this here, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but I'm so excited to share these things with you, because these days I get to wake up whenever I want to wake up. Every day I get to choose what I want to do. My fiance is, attending a retreat in the States, and we get to do that because we don't have to, put in 2 weeks notice or anything like that. And we live a life of choice. And that's what I want for you. I want you to have the choice to do what you want, with whom you want, whenever you want, how you want, however much you want, because that's the only thing that's ever truly made me happy. And I feel like that's what we're here to experience. Freedom. Freedom is not like crazy luxury all the time. Sometimes freedom can just mean being able to be with your kids when you want to be with your kids, having time to read a book, being able to wake up and enjoy a late breakfast, whatever it is, whatever freedom is to you, you can have that here. And so, yeah, I'm super honored and excited to be a part of this journey and to be here at the launch of this next chapter for you. So on that note, I'm going to pass it on to Amberly. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tariq. I feel really excited and honored to be alongside here with Christy and Tariq, because over 3 years ago, I was a struggling mum. Struggling mum at home. My husband's working 80 hours a week. I was an online entrepreneur trying to do so many different things, like wearing so many hats, and there was nothing that was working. And then I was introduced to this beautiful community, and it expanded me. It expanded me to the possibility of me not having to wear all the hats, and more importantly, to be more authentically me. And through that authenticity, I was able to tap into the vision I had since I was a little child about being a mum at home and having my husband at home alongside me. And my husband at the time was working 80 hours a week to make ends meet. We had a mortgage, you don't realize until you have kids, all these extra expenses that come into play. And what happened is, why I'm excited for you to be here, is over a year ago, I was in a part of a mastermind just like this one. And I got really clear. So that's what we're going to do on day one, is get you really clear on the vision that you're choosing to create, like to tap into the potential that lives within you, to tap into unlimited abundance, unlimited freedom. The things like we talk about, and Tariq talked about this, is like, what I see in my children every day is that they wake up and see the potential in the world, and that they see that they can create anything, and they don't think of the limitations. They just find a way to create it. And this is what this day one is going to give you. We're going to allow you to get so clear on your vision. And why it excites me is because a year ago today, so I'm in the Australian Grampians right now. I used to live in Melbourne. My husband and I decided he was working 40 hours a week. So we've taken him from 80 hours a week to 40 hours. And we decided to sit down. Well, what's the vision that we want for our family? It was homeschooling, living in a caravan, traveling Australia, giving our children experiences that they never could forget, and leaving a legacy. And what I mean by a legacy is that to show that if mum and dad can create a life that they're choosing, so can the kids. So we wrote down, well, what do we need? We had a car at the time, but the car wouldn't be able to have the caravan that we wanted to do. We wrote down, so we need a new car. We need to have a caravan. We wrote down a second hand. We needed to have my husband home. We needed to have a source of income that was coming in each week so that we didn't have to live in, and what I see a lot of people do when they're traveling Australia, they're staying in caravan parks or they're staying in free caravan parks. And we wanted to have a 5-star experience so we could stay in caravan parks that felt right and safe for our family. So we wrote all these things down. And a year later, I am living that reality. We have a brand new car, 79 Land Cruiser Series, which is my husband's dream car, coming in 2 weeks because of his business. We have a caravan, but it wasn't a used caravan. We were able to change our situation around to buy a brand new caravan. Each week we're going and having experiences and creating experiences for our children. And my husband is no longer working a job. And so that is what day one is that we're going to give you the means to tap into the potential that resides in you, the potential you see in your children or you see in other people or you admire about other people, expanding yourself and allowing you to step forward and into the truest, highest version of you. And from there, you create the life of your choosing. So I'm going to pass you on to beautiful Saber right now so that she can tell you about day 2.
Oh my gosh, so inspiring. I'm so excited for you all to be here. My name's Saber. I'm tuning into you from beautiful California. And I found this entire beautiful community, 2.5 years ago when I was living full-time in my vehicle. Actually, I was wanting to live the kind of life that Amber Lee is living now. But, when I became nomadic, I found that I was nothing but free of what I was initially intending. I have a very multi-passionate. I love dancing. I love creating. I'm creative at heart. And, when I created my passions into a business, I did end up wearing all the hats, just so many reflections of all 3 of these incredible human being stories. I could just regurgitate the same experience from definitely so many aspects of their stories, just wearing all the hats, being flooded in my inventory and just being on this entrepreneurial hamster wheel, right? And I knew I ultimately just needed to figure out another way. I knew that there was going to be another way that I could be in my creative gifts and I could be fully abundant, where I can actually travel in a way where I am having a 5-star experience, And it was incredible because my second year into this incredible community, I was able to take it up another step. I actually did read the 4-Hour Workweek as well. And I decided, I was like, well, now that I am online, I can actually go global. So I just moved back to California, actually, after living full-time in Costa Rica for 15 months. I've never been able to do that kind of thing, I didn't come from money. I never thought that being a creative was actually going to really fulfill me on a financial level, right? It was fulfilling in a lot of ways on a soul level. But in this space, we've really found out how to have the best of both worlds. And on day 2, Christy and I are going to be going over the exact method of bringing all of this into balance, right? We're talking about the vision, we're talking about healing our relationship with money, we're talking about expanding into our truest potential. And then we're also talking about the strategy and the method of how to create a freedom life, right? How to create your own legacy the way that you truly want to do authentically. I saw so many digital nomads all around the world, and I was just like, I really want to figure out how to do that. But, I really wanted to figure out how to do it in a way where I felt like I was being in my most creative genius zone. And now I feel like I'm literally living and breathing creativity in everything that I do. And I'm actually in the embodiment of that. And I'm so excited to share this with all of you because it completely changed my vision for, you know, how I'm going to be living my life as a creative now. I've been able to invest in my first high-end retreats I never even thought I'd ever be able to experience. You know, I was able to be full-time in Costa Rica without thinking like, how am I going to, you know, sell my art and like just hustle with my passions, which never really felt right to begin with. And we've been able to really just create a life that's more of choice. And that's ultimately what I feel like we're all here on life to experience, and that we all get to experience, you know, and it's about us stepping in and claiming it. And that's exactly what this space, this entire mastermind is going to be about. So just like Christy said, you know, envision that you have paid $10,000 to be here, because the return on investment in yourself, oh my gosh, you know, it's like all the money gets to be the byproduct of the true transformation that comes from really stepping into who it is that you came here on this planet to be. You know, like we did not come here. If you're here, I imagine you're someone who wants to think out of the box, or who does think out of the box, right? And who wants to just step out of the status quo. And we're not meant to play a small game, you know, and we don't have to do it alone. So we're really, really happy and honored to be here to support you and just share with you the exact formula and how this can actually be possible.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Saber. Thank you, Tariq. And thank you, Amberly. We are so excited to make sure it's in your calendar. You've given yourself space. There's no distractions. We're going to be going for 45 to 60 minutes each day. So block out that amount of time. And if you are wanting to watch the replay, we do have replays available, but only for a short amount of time. And we're going to be rewarding those that show up live, because there is something that happens when there is live energy all together. It's like we're all doing the work together, right? And so there's going to be giveaways and all sorts of things for those that show up on the actual live. So we can't wait to see you and to, yeah, really, I guess this is kind of like a bit of a transmission in a way, and also really showing you like what is actually possible and an actual winning formula. You know, like I said before, 5 years ago, I needed to find something that was going to be proven to work and convert, because I didn't have time. I only had 4 months to get it together so that I could bring my baby into the world in not this kind of frazzle of how we're paying rent and how we're going to do this. So yeah, we're going to share all of this with you, all of it. We're going to unpack all of it with you over day 1 and day 2. So we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much. And that's one other thing. Please, we want to get to know you as well, right? Like we wanted to share a little bit about ourselves. We want to know why you're here, why you're in this group, what does freedom mean to you? What does living a life of choice mean to you? Why is this a priority for you? So please take a moment to pop into the comment box below this video. Just give us a little introduction, who you are, where you're from, why you're here, and what does freedom and living a life of choice mean to you?